Have you ever felt it? That quiet tension between you and someone who clearly feels something, yet never says a word. Is always there, always watching, always close, but never close enough. No confession, no move, just silence mixed with signs that don't make sense. And that silence can be louder than any words. This kind of attraction is different. It isn't loud or confident. It doesn't announce itself. Instead, it hides behind nervous smiles, lingering glances, and moments that feel emotionally charged but unfinished. You feel it in the way he looks at you when he thinks you're not paying attention. You sense it in the way his energy changes when you walk into the room. Something is there, but fear stands between him and action. Many men don't struggle with desire. They struggle with risk. The risk of rejection, the risk of embarrassment, the risk of exposing feelings they're not sure will be returned. When emotions run deep, courage doesn't always follow. For some, wanting you isn't the problem. The problem is how much it matters. That's why he stays quiet. That's why he hesitates. That's why he sends mixed signals, warm one moment, distant the next. Inside his mind, there's a constant battle between what he feels and what he's afraid to lose. And while he may never say, "I want you," his behavior often tells the truth long before his words ever will. These men don't disappear. They don't move on easily. Instead, they watch from a distance, hoping you'll notice what they are too afraid to reveal. They remember small details about you. They react when other men come up. They find excuses to be near you without crossing a line. Every action is careful, controlled, and quietly emotional. Understanding these signs isn't about guessing or overthinking. It's about clarity. Because when someone wants you but is terrified to make a move, the signs are subtle, but they are consistent. And once you know what to look for, the confusion fades. The mixed signals start to make sense. The silence begins to speak. In this video, we're breaking down the most powerful signs that a man wants you deeply, but fear is holding him back. Not from a place of manipulation or games, but from vulnerability. If you've ever wondered why someone acts interested yet never steps forward, why the connection feels real but unfinished, this will give you the answers you've been looking for. Sometimes, the strongest feelings are hidden behind the deepest fear. And once you see the signs, you'll never miss them again. 1. He watches you more than he realizes. When a man wants you but is terrified to make a move, his eyes often betray him before his words ever do. He may not consciously decide to watch you, yet he does, frequently, instinctively, and emotionally. This kind of watching isn't creepy or intentional. It's rooted in attraction mixed with fear. His mind is constantly drawn to you because you represent something he deeply wants but feels unsure he can have. You might notice him glancing at you when he thinks you aren't paying attention. The moment you turn toward him, he quickly looks away, pretends to check his phone, or suddenly becomes busy. This isn't indifference, it's panic. He's afraid his interest will be obvious, and even more afraid of what might happen if you notice. His fear of rejection keeps him silent, but his eyes keep searching for you anyway. Often, he watches to understand you better. He notices how you laugh, how you react to others, and what kind of mood you're in. He's studying you emotionally, not strategically. He wants to know if you're safe for his heart. Because he's terrified to act, observing feels like the only way he can stay close without risking anything. You may also catch him watching your reactions, especially when you talk, joke, or interact with other people. If another man enters the picture, his attention sharpens. He might not say a word, but internally, he's comparing himself, wondering if he could ever compete, and quietly hoping you'll choose him without him having to confess. This behavior often comes with mixed signals. One day, he seems fully tuned into you. The next, he pulls back and acts distant. That distance isn't loss of interest, it's self-protection. Watching from afar allows him to feel connected while avoiding vulnerability. If you feel someone's presence even when they're silent, if you sense eyes on you without obvious attention, that's often the sign of a man who wants you deeply but lacks the courage to step forward. His watching is his quiet way of staying close, hoping that one day, the fear will be smaller than his desire. 2. He gets nervous around you. Nervousness is one of the clearest signs a man wants you, but is terrified to make a move. Confidence disappears when emotions feel risky, and around you, his emotions are exactly that, risky. You matter too much for him to feel relaxed. Every word, every gesture feels loaded with consequences in his mind. You might notice his voice change when he talks to you. He may stumble over words, speak too fast, or suddenly go quiet. His hands might fidget, his posture stiffen, or his smile appear awkward rather than smooth. This isn't a lack of social skills, it's emotional overload. He wants to impress you, but the pressure he puts on himself makes him anxious instead. His nervousness often comes from overthinking. Before speaking, he mentally rehearses what to say. After speaking, he replays the conversation, worrying if he sounded stupid or said too much. Around you, he becomes hyper-aware of himself because your opinion carries weight. Rejection from you wouldn't just hurt, it would shake his sense of worth. Sometimes, this nervous energy makes him act differently than he does with others. He may be confident, funny, or relaxed around friends, yet awkward and unsure around you. This contrast confuses many people, but it's actually a powerful indicator of attraction. You're not just another person to him. You're emotionally significant. In some cases, nervousness causes him to withdraw. He might avoid long conversations or keep things surface level, not because he doesn't care, but because caring makes him vulnerable. The more he likes you, the harder it becomes for him to stay composed. You may also notice that his nervousness increases when things feel intimate, eye contact, personal topics, or moments of silence. Those moments threaten to expose his feelings, and fear rushes in to protect him. A man who gets nervous around you isn't weak. He's emotionally invested. His fear doesn't come from lack of desire. It comes from having too much to lose. 3. He finds excuses to be near you. When a man wants you but is terrified to make a move, proximity becomes his silent confession. He may not say how he feels, but he'll find ways to stay close, physically or emotionally, without directly revealing his intentions. Being near you feels safe compared to the risk of speaking his truth. He might suddenly appear where you are, casually and by coincidence. He'll find reasons to start small conversations, ask unnecessary questions, or offer help you didn't ask for. These excuses aren't random. They're his way of creating moments with you while avoiding the pressure of declaring interest. Often, these attempts look subtle. He won't demand your attention. Instead, he'll linger. He'll choose the seat near you, walk alongside you, or stay a little longer than necessary when you're around. These moments give him emotional comfort. Even without words, being close to you calms him and feeds his connection. Finding excuses to be near you also allows him to test the emotional temperature. He watches how you respond. Do you smile, engage, seem comfortable? Each positive reaction builds his hope. Each neutral response fuels his fear. Because he's terrified of rejection, he gathers evidence before risking his heart. Sometimes, he helps you excessively or shows up whenever you need something. This isn't manipulation, it's devotion without courage. He wants to be useful, valued, and present in your life, hoping that closeness will naturally turn into something more. However, when he feels is getting too close emotionally, he may suddenly pull back. Fear kicks in, reminding him that closeness could lead to exposure. This push-and-pull dynamic often confuses the other person, but it makes perfect sense internally. He wants you, but is afraid of what wanting you means. If someone consistently finds reasons to be around you without crossing obvious boundaries, it's rarely accidental. It's a man trying to stay close to the person he desires, waiting for a moment when fear loosens its grip, or when you make the first move. 4. He avoids eye contact, then can't stop looking. A man who wants you but is terrified to make a move often fights an internal battle every time your eyes meet. Eye contact feels intimate, revealing, and dangerous to him. When he looks into your eyes, he feels exposed, like his feelings might spill out without his permission. So his first instinct is avoidance. He looks away quickly, lowers his gaze, or pretends to focus on something else, not because he's uninterested, but because he's overwhelmed. Yet here's the contradiction. He can't stop looking. Moments later, his eyes drift back to you. This push and pull happens because attraction pulls him in, while fear pushes him away. Avoiding eye contact is his shield. Sneaking glances is his surrender. He's trying to protect himself, but his emotions keep betraying him. You may notice that when you're not looking, he watches freely. The moment you turn toward him, he stiffens or looks away. This is especially true in quiet moments, when there's no distraction to hide behind. Silence makes eye contact louder, and is afraid that one look might reveal everything he's trying to keep buried. When eye contact does happen, it often lingers longer than normal or feels charged. There may be intensity, softness, or vulnerability in his eyes, followed immediately by retreat. That retreat isn't rejection. It's fear rushing in after a moment of emotional honesty. This pattern is common in men who feel deeply but lack confidence. Eye contact feels like a promise, and is scared of making one he might not be able to keep. He worries that if you see what's in his eyes, you'll expect him to act, and is not ready. If someone avoids your eyes but still keeps finding them, pay attention. That conflict often means his heart is involved, even if his words are not. 5. He remembers small details about you. Remembering small details is a powerful sign of emotional interest, especially when a man is too afraid to express his feelings openly. When he wants you, your words don't disappear after the conversation ends. They stay with him. He remembers things you casually mentioned weeks or even months ago, not because he's trying to impress you, but because your presence matters to him. He may recall your favorite coffee order, a story about your childhood, or something you said you were worried about. These details stick because he listens differently to you. His attention is emotional, not casual. Even when he acts distant or quiet, his mind is holding onto pieces of you. What makes this sign even stronger is that he often remembers things you don't expect him to. He might bring up something you barely remember saying, surprising you with how closely he paid attention. For him, remembering is a way of staying connected without risking vulnerability. This happens because fear prevents him from acting, but care keeps him engaged. He may not say, "I like you," but remembering your details is his silent way of saying, "You matter to me." It's also a form of emotional safety. By remembering, he feels close without having to confess. Sometimes, he uses these details to support you subtly. He checks in about something you were stressed about, offers help related to your interests, or avoids topics he knows make you uncomfortable. These actions are thoughtful, intentional, and emotionally driven. A man who doesn't care won't remember the small things. A man who remembers but stays silent is usually someone who feels deeply and is scared of where those feelings could lead. 6. He reacts strongly when you mention other men. One of the clearest signs a man wants you but is terrified to make a move is his reaction when other men come up in conversation. Even if he says nothing, his emotions often surface through subtle changes. His tone shifts, his body language tightens, or his energy drops. Jealousy appears quietly, wrapped in restraint. He might suddenly become quieter, less engaged, or more serious. Sometimes he changes the subject quickly. Other times, he asks casual questions that feel oddly specific. These reactions aren't planned. They are instinctive responses to the fear of losing something he hasn't even claimed. Because he hasn't confessed his feelings, he feels he has no right to be jealous. That internal conflict makes him suppress his reaction. But suppression doesn't erase emotion. It just redirects it. His discomfort shows in micro-expressions, pauses, or forced indifference. In some cases, he may joke about it or pretend not to care. Humor becomes a mask. Other times, he might subtly distance himself afterward, needing space to calm emotions he doesn't know how to process. This distance isn't punishment, it's self-regulation. What's happening internally is comparison and insecurity. He wonders if the other man is better, more confident, more deserving. His fear tells him that speaking up could lead to rejection, so he stays silent and suffers privately. Strong emotional reactions to competition often reveal unspoken attachment. A man who doesn't care won't react. A man who reacts but stays quiet is usually someone who wants you deeply but feels trapped by fear. 7. He opens up emotionally but pulls back. When a man wants you but is terrified to make a move, emotional openness becomes both his comfort and his fear. In moments when he feels safe, he lets his guard down. He talks about his past, his struggles, his dreams, or his fears. These conversations feel meaningful, intimate, and real. For a brief time, he allows himself to imagine closeness with you. Then, suddenly, he pulls back. This pullback often confuses the person on the receiving end. One day, he's emotionally present and connected. The next, he's distant, quieter, or harder to reach. This shift isn't manipulation, it's panic. Opening up makes him feel exposed. Once he realizes how much he's revealed, fear rushes in to protect him from potential rejection or emotional loss. For him, emotional intimacy feels like stepping toward a cliff. He wants the connection, but is scared of falling. After opening up, he may worry that you now expect more from him, commitment, clarity, or action. Because he doesn't feel ready to offer that, he retreats to regain a sense of control. This cycle often repeats. Each time, he opens up a little more, then pulls back a little faster. His heart wants closeness, his mind wants safety. The conflict creates emotional inconsistency, even though his feelings remain steady underneath. If someone shares vulnerable parts of themselves with you, then withdraws, it's often a sign that you matter more than they are ready to handle. He's not playing games, he's struggling with fear. 8. He engages with you online more than in person. For a man who is terrified to make a move, the digital world feels safer than real life. Online, there's distance, time to think, and less emotional risk. He can express interest without facing immediate rejection. That's why you may notice him liking your posts, replying to stories, or messaging you, yet acting reserved or shy when you're face-to-face. Online interaction gives him control. He can choose his words carefully, hide nervousness, and avoid the intensity of real-time emotional exposure. In person, your presence may overwhelm him. Online, he feels brave enough to show small pieces of interest. He may be quick to respond digitally but hesitant to start conversations in real life. This contrast often confuses people, but it reflects fear, not disinterest. He wants connection, just in a way that feels emotionally manageable. Sometimes, he uses online engagement to test boundaries. Does she reply? Does she seem interested? These small signals help him build courage, even if he never fully acts on it. Each interaction becomes emotional reassurance. If someone shows consistent interest online but struggles in person, it often means the feelings are real, but the fear is stronger than the courage. 9. He mirrors your actions and body language. Mirroring is an unconscious behavior rooted in emotional connection. When a man wants you but is too afraid to act, his body often speaks for him. He may copy your posture, match your tone, or adopt your gestures without realizing it. This happens because his mind is emotionally attuned to you. Mirroring creates subconscious bonding. He leans in when you do, smiles when you smile, and matches your energy naturally. These behaviors signal comfort, attraction, and emotional alignment, even when words are missing. Because he's terrified of rejection, mirroring allows him to connect without direct risk. It's a way of saying, I feel close to you, without ever having to say it aloud. His body follows you because emotionally, he's already there. If you notice someone unconsciously syncing with you, especially while staying verbally cautious, it's often a sign of unspoken desire. His actions are revealing what his fear won't let him say. 10. He tries to impress you subtly. When a man wants you but is terrified to make a move, he often channels his desire into subtle attempts to impress you. He won't boast loudly or make bold declarations. Instead, he shows you small glimpses of his best self, hoping you'll notice without him having to risk rejection. He might talk about his achievements casually, as if they don't matter much to him. Yet he watches your reaction closely. He may dress a little better when he knows you'll be around, fix his posture, or suddenly put extra effort into his appearance. These changes aren't for everyone. They are for you. His subtle impressing also shows in how he behaves around others when you're present. He becomes more responsible, more helpful, or more composed. He wants you to see him as capable, dependable, and worthy, even if he never says those words out loud. Because he's afraid to make a move, He relies on actions rather than statements. Impressing you quietly feels safer than openly expressing desire. If you respond positively, it boosts his confidence. If you don't, he can tell himself it was never intentional. This quiet effort reveals deep interest. A man who doesn't care won't try at all. A man who tries subtly is hoping you'll see his value without forcing him to step into fear. 11. He checks your reactions constantly. A man who wants you but is terrified to act becomes highly sensitive to your responses. He watches your facial expressions, listens closely to your tone, and notices even the smallest shifts in your mood. Your reactions matter to him because they feel like clues to his emotional safety. When he says something, he immediately checks how you respond. Did you smile? Did you laugh? Did you seem uncomfortable? Each reaction is processed deeply, sometimes overanalyzed. He's looking for reassurance that is not crossing a line or risking rejection. This behavior often happens subconsciously. He may pause after speaking, glance at you for confirmation, or adjust his behavior based on how you react. If you respond warmly, he relaxes slightly. If you seem distant, he pulls back quickly. His fear makes him cautious. He wants to be close, but only if he feels safe. So instead of making a move, he gathers information. Your reactions become his guide, helping him decide whether to stay, retreat, or try again later. Constantly checking your reactions is a sign of emotional investment. Indifference doesn't monitor. Care does. If someone pays close attention to how you respond to them, it usually means your opinion carries emotional weight. 12. He becomes protective without admitting why. Protection is often one of the clearest signs of unspoken affection. When a man wants you but is terrified to make a move, his protective instincts surface quietly. He may look out for you, offer help, or step in when something feels off, without ever labeling it as care or concern. He might ask if you got home safely, stand closer in uncomfortable situations, or subtly discourage people who treat you poorly. These actions come naturally, driven by emotion rather than logic. He may not even realize why he feels the need to protect you. He just knows he does. Because he hasn't confessed his feelings, he avoids acknowledging this protectiveness openly. Admitting it would mean admitting how much you matter. So he downplays it, acts casual, or pretends it's no big deal. Protection without words often signals attachment. He's emotionally invested in your well-being, even if he's afraid to claim a place in your life. His fear keeps him silent, but his instincts reveal the truth. 13. He acts hot and cold with you. When a man wants you but is terrified to make a move, his behavior often becomes confusingly inconsistent. One moment he's warm, attentive, and emotionally present. The next, he's distant, quiet, or withdrawn. This hot and cold pattern isn't intentional manipulation. It's the result of an internal emotional tug-of-war. On the hot days, his feelings overpower his fear. He feels connected to you, hopeful, and momentarily brave. He talks more, laughs more, and seems fully engaged. In those moments, he allows himself to imagine closeness and possibility. Then fear steps in. He starts thinking about what could go wrong: rejection, embarrassment, emotional loss. The vulnerability suddenly feels too dangerous. To protect himself, he pulls back. Going cold helps him regain control and emotional safety, even though it hurts him too. This cycle repeats because his desire doesn't disappear, but his fear never fully leaves. He wants closeness but fears exposure. Acting hot and cold becomes his way of managing emotions he doesn't know how to handle directly. If someone is inconsistent yet never fully disappears, it often means they are emotionally attached but internally conflicted. His distance isn't lack of interest, it's self-defense. 14. He waits for you to make the first move. A man who is terrified to make a move often hopes, sometimes desperately, that you'll make it for him. This doesn't mean he lacks interest or masculinity. It means the fear of rejection feels heavier than the desire to act. He drops subtle hints instead of clear signals. He creates opportunities for closeness, prolongs conversations, and gives you emotional openings, then waits. His silence isn't passive, it's expectant. He's watching to see if you'll lean in, ask the question, or take the step he's too afraid to take. Waiting feels safer to him. If you make the first move, the risk shifts away from him. He doesn't have to face rejection alone. In his mind, that would confirm safety and mutual interest. This behavior often comes from past emotional wounds, low confidence, or deep emotional investment. You matter so much that making the wrong move feels unbearable. So he waits, hoping you'll choose him without him having to risk everything. If someone consistently sets the stage but never steps forward, they may be silently asking you to. 15. He stays silent but never walks away. This is one of the strongest signs of all. A man who wants you but is terrified to make a move may never confess his feelings, but he also never leaves. He stays present in your life, quietly consistent, emotionally available in subtle ways. Silence doesn't mean absence. He checks in, remembers you, supports you, and remains connected. Even when opportunities to drift away appear, he doesn't take them. Walking away would mean letting go, and is not ready for that. His fear keeps him quiet, but his attachment keeps him close. He chooses proximity over distance, even without clarity or guarantees. This quiet loyalty reveals deep emotional investment. A man who doesn't care leaves. A man who stays, despite fear and silence, is often loving you quietly from the sidelines, hoping one day the fear will fade, or that you'll finally see what his words never said.